Hey everybody, it's Christian B, Burnaby, Vancouver-based real estate agent, and for today's video, I want to give you my BC election prediction. And the winner is, hey, come on, I can't tell you right off the bat. I want to share my train of thought. I'll tell you at the end who I think is going to win and why, and it'll be very clear to you why I think that. I've always had an interest in politics. This election in particular affects me personally. There's been a lot of changes in the real estate industry, so it's very much a bread and butter issue for me. And so that's why I want to dive into this topic. Now, to start with this guy right here on the screen. His name is Wyatt Claypool. He does some fun videos. Really love his energy and enthusiasm. It really comes through. I think he was doing a video from Kyoto, Japan not long ago. So he takes his craft seriously, and I think he's added like 10,000 subscribers in a very short order here. Okay, now he's obviously a staunch conservative, and you can tell when you watch his videos. Not only that, it's pretty clear in the headlines. And I think you always have to pause when you are taking information in, like, and question the source, but also question where are they drawing their inferences from. And so that's what I want to sort of guide you through here, and this is going to lead you to what my final outcome for this election is going to be. Now, look, really good guy, it seems to me, anyway, from his videos. And here he says in this video, EB loses support after begging Greens to vote. Conservatives lead 5 percentage points. Now, if you go to his actual website on YouTube, you'll see, look, for example, here's EB projected to lose his riding. Conservatives see a polling bump. So I haven't watched all of these videos, but you can definitely look at the title here, Game Over for David Eby. I don't know about that. Like, okay, at the end of the day, I would love to see the end to this government, but I think that's premature, and I'm going to tell you why. When we look at the polling, and the best place to start with here is a website called 338.com, and it's pretty cool. You can scroll down, and it's going to tell you what the popular vote projection is. And this is based on all the opinion polls kind of grouped together using their own methodology. And what they're telling us, all the opinion polls out there that have been done in the last several weeks are giving orange about 45%, give or take 4%, and blue 43% of the popular support, give or take 4%. And what that projects is another orange majority here, with them coming away with 51 seats. And here do you see the minimums and the maximums, and blue is expected to get about 40 seats based on this projection of popular support, and green getting 2 seats, maybe Sonia Furstenau, the leader, picking up her, winning her seat in Victoria. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but it shares with us the orange is, they got about a 79% chance of winning the most seats and a 73% chance of translating that into a majority. What I've found most interesting about this election, as opposed to pretty much any other election I've ever followed, whether that was in BC, Ontario, or federally, is how tight it has been. I mean, look at the line here, blue and orange. I mean, it's been neck and neck right down to the wire, except you might say orange here sort of just separating itself from blue by about 4, 5, 6% in the last week and a half as we get to the election day. And what I want to show, if you want to dive into, and this is what I think you have to do next as a real thinking citizen, is say, well, what are these vote projections based on? And what you can do is you would just go to Wikipedia's entry for the 2024 BC general election. Here we have our 3 smiling faces. And what we do is we scroll on down to the polls. And you can see that we get a, I mean, they go back all the way to the summer. But what we're more interested in is what the polls have been telling us recently. And you can see here that we have Main Street, the polling firm, is telling us that the Conservatives lead by 5 percentage points. And this is based on a poll done over the last couple of days. And then there's another company that says the Orange is up by 4. Back to Main Street shows Blue leading by 5. Angus Reid, a very long-time polling company, did a poll about a week ago, had Orange up by 5. And then, again, Main Street saying that Blue is leading by 6 and 5%. Ipsos, again, a long-established company, saying Orange is up by 5. I think the other long-time firm that I'm familiar with here would be Leger, and Leger had Orange up by 5. So there's 3 big polling companies here telling us, 3, that Orange is up by 5. And some, if you wanted to dig into the numbers, I mean, look at Angus Reid's recent poll. They almost polled 3,000 people. That's a large sample size. So you figure that carries weight. They're doing it through an online method, and as opposed to the IVR method. Now, IVR is those robocalls, right? It's just the automated voice calls your phone and just says, "Hey, do you got 2 minutes? And tell us how you're going to vote." And online is a little different. I went to the Angus Reid website to read about how are they actually doing that. So I guess they select a group of people, and then they trace and track their support. So this leads me to believe that Orange is going to win this election, because we've had 3 reputable companies come out and say that they're up by 5 to 6 points. And in fact, we've got Council of Public Affairs and Fairview Strategy saying 6 and 6 for Orange. And again, in one case, they sample sized 2,000 people. So that's a large number. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this translates. My question is, with the IVR, Main Street, you can see, is the only one using this method consistently. And I know it's cheap and easy to do. I know it's the only polling method that I'll actually respond to, because I know it'll be, a couple of click, 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 click on my phone and I'll be done with it. Versus, having to do an online survey. I'm just not interested in that because I think it's going to take too much time, 15, 20 minutes or so on. You could argue that the IVR method's going to get a lot of older people, because older people might be more, have a little bit more time on their hand and would be more inclined to answer that poll. Well, if that's really the case, it actually should favor the NDP, since in this election anyway, when you look at and study the breakdown of voting by demographic, it's the old age groups, 65 plus seniors, who support Orange quite overwhelmingly. And interestingly, it's young people, the under 35, which is trending more blue. So that's just something I've noticed from the different polling data that I've seen. Now, when I did jump over to Angus Reid, they tell you how we poll. And one of the interesting little factoids you come across is apparently only 6% of people actually answer their phone anymore to do these longer phone surveys. And so that's why they made this shift to online polls. And while I'm not exactly familiar with the methodology, as I just briefly mentioned here earlier, is that from what I understand is they are doing these online surveys, but they're doing them in a way where they are very careful to grab a wide selection so that it's representative of Canadians. Okay, so now you might ask, well, how do we know for sure that this is actually going to be accurate? And haven't polls been wrong before? Like, what about the 2016 U.S. presidential election? Or how about even the 2013 BC general election? This was an interesting one. Here we had Christy Clark with the Liberals going up against Adrian Dix. And throughout that campaign, the NDP consistently polled ahead of the Liberals through much of the campaign. And again, you can find that down here on that Wikipedia entry, and it shows you exactly where what the polling said from the start of the writ being dropped to election day right here. You can see election day, red beats orange, but throughout the entire campaign, polling suggested that orange was about 5 percentage points ahead of red. So will that happen again? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see it happen again. That's my personal bias, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. I mean, the reality of it is that I think these polling companies, they've wised up since the mistakes of 2013, of 2016, and they're getting better. And I mean, I guess the ultimate test here is going to come when we get to the election, which is coming up very shortly. And we'll find out if this gentleman's prediction about the Conservative Party beating the NDP will really come true. My honest opinion is it probably will not. I think Main Street, that poll is likely the outlier. I would love to see Wyatt do a video on why he relies so heavily on Main Street's polls and why he thinks that they are more accurate and more representative, and doesn't mention all the other polling companies. I mean, don't we have to factor them all in? So I do, and because of that, I do think we're likely looking at another orange wave. Well, let's not call it a wave. Let's call it an orange victory, and it's probably going to be orange, sort of winning by a couple of paces here, maybe low 50 seats, high 40 seats, and blue doing very well for a party that didn't exist really substantively about 4 years ago. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I'd love to see a video on why he doesn't think these other polls merit consideration, and why the Main Street poll, where he's relying mostly on, why that one deserves so much more weight in his final analysis. Guys, most important thing is get out there and go vote. It is, we've fought wars to have that right. So please exercise your democratic right as a citizen and responsibility as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back on real estate the next time.